Hello again, welcome back for another live bit of the Oxford Maths Online Open Day. My name is James, I'm still the admissions coordinator for Maths at Oxford. Here's the plan for this bit of live content. It's the end of the day, so my understanding is probably people have got questions from stuff that's gone on earlier today. If you could join the Q&A, I'm joined by a couple of tutors. We're going to try and go through some of the questions that have come in from today. I've been answering a few of them as we go through, but if you want to ask more stuff going through, then that's something you can do at the moment now as well. Sorry, I'm slightly confused. I've done the Matt workshop twice back to back, and it's slightly confusing to my brain that this is not the Matt workshop again. So I've got this Matt question where you raise things to different powers. No, wait, not that again. Raphael in the chat says hello, which is great. Okay, right, okay. I've also got advice for next steps of what to do after the open day. So it's inspired a little bit by last year when we did our online open day. We followed up with some more online events. I'm going to try and explain what those are so that you can stay in touch with other things we're doing online over the summer. And I'm also going to explain how you might prepare for maths at university with your time at the moment. Okay, so I've got some suggestions. Feel free, while I'm talking or while I'm doing this, feel free to jump in the Q&A and ask us anything. I can see Vicky and Rich are here, so if you've got questions for Vicky about elliptic curves or about convergence of a series from Vicky's talks earlier, then you could ask in there. If you've got questions for Richard L about the maths courses at Oxford, that's Richard's talk, then you could ask in there as well. Or questions about maths or indeed anything else. Ask us anything in the Q&A. We're here to help. Right, okay. Here are some suggestions of things that you could do next, of next steps for things to do after the open day. That's a blank slide. So you can stay in touch with us. If after today you realise you've got another question or something you want to ask about, or something else that you didn't ask today and you want to follow up with, then you can email us, email address on the screen here, and also in the video description, I think, on YouTube, undergraduate.admissions@maths.ox.uk goes to our admissions team. So you might get a reply from one of us. I'm expecting probably quite a few emails, so please give us a little while to get back to you on that email address. That's good for any queries where if you don't want to ask the query in a Q&A, then if you don't want to ask a query in the Q&A, you can ask it directly by email if you want a sort of more private conversation. There's also the Oxford Online Maths Club, which I've been mentioning quite a lot. We're running every Thursday if you want to ask us about maths and do stuff over there. And from the 5th of August, this is technically an announcement, so hey, from the 5th of August, the Maths Club is going to morph into a weekly maths live stream. So we're going to start doing weekly bits of live math, a bit like the math workshops that we were running earlier today over the summer. So that's technically some sort of season 3 over there. Okay, so that's plans for things that are coming up. I want to talk a little bit about mathematics as well. I want to talk about resources. There's the mathematics prospectus, which I've been pointing people to today throughout the event. Whenever somebody asks me about further reading or recommended books or suggestions like that. So somewhere in the mathematics prospectus, further down, there's a list of books. It's split into sections. So there's a section on bridging material for things that might be helpful as you're thinking about the transition from A-level or equivalent to university. There's a section of books like that. There's a section of history and biography books if you're interested about where all of this maths came from. And there's a large section in the middle called popular maths books, with lots of interesting suggestions of books that you might like. If you can find any of these in a school library or a local library, then that's great. Get your hands on them for free. So there might be a way to get hold of some popular maths books. I always say that these maths books are written for people who know less maths than you, or the general public is in general less interested in maths than you are, even people reading popular maths books. And that means that where a book might have some equations in, maybe they take some of the equations out, and it's sort of on you to go and find out the equations, to go and put a little bit more maths back in the book by doing some of your own reading around the subject and looking things up. Okay, so we've got a list of books of things that you might like to have a look at. That's also got some details of the course. So that's got a list of things in there that are in the course at the moment by course title. And that can be a little bit opaque. They can give you an overview of the kind of structure of the course. I'm quite happy with, there's a table in the prospectus showing how the number of options widens as you go through the maths degree, going from those core courses in first year to so many options in third year. Some of those titles will be sort of make sense in that you can imagine what the course involves. For some of them it's a little bit more technical or a little bit more complicated. Maybe they use unfamiliar language, in the sense that part of the idea of doing 3 years of maths degrees, we get you onto maths that you haven't already heard of, whole new topics of maths. In fact, some of that happens straight away early on in sort of first year. We're telling you about group theory and things like that. So let's talk about how you can find out more detail about that. Let's say you've seen a course title and you're interested in it. So I had this slide earlier, but I'm going to point to it again. We've put up all of the details of our 2019 to 2020 course, including all of the course details for each of those course titles, the lecture notes, the problem sheets, whatever you want to look at. There's some things there from all 4 years of our course. So if you want to find out more detail about what a course title means, or about what we were teaching in 2019 to 2020, then you can find out lots more detail over on those links. Those are on the Open Day page. If you scroll down far enough, you can find links to find out actual Oxford resources. To the extent that might even be a handy resource to have alongside studying maths at university, whether you're at Oxford or not, having some sort of sense of what's in the Oxford course and what the Oxford take on teaching these topics is. You've got access to that. Okay, I can see people asking questions, which is great. I think we've currently got at least a couple of tutors, which is brilliant, answering questions. I'm going to come to the questions as well in a minute, once I've got through the slides that I prepared. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it in that order. Sorry. Okay. So finding out more bits of maths. I think Vicky and Dominic on the Pure and Applied Maths talks on the Open Day page have a link to related reading or further stuff related to those courses. So if you saw the Pure Maths or the Applied Maths talk and you want to find out more, there's a link on the Open Day page to say click here. On the Open Day page, click here to find out more about those. And you might have, if you click there, then you can find more information about the Oxford courses related to what they talked about in the Pure Maths and the Applied Maths talk. Okay, lots of maths. Let me just check something's going on over here. Yes, okay, good. Right. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about other resources. So I've repeated some slides here from other bits and pieces of the Apply talk, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware of these things. So there's the Advanced Maths Support Programme, which is running events and resources for maths students doing A-level maths, further maths, or core maths, anything like that. I think technically your school needs to sign up to get access to AMSP resources, but then once you've got them, there's lots of resources there. Let's talk about the STEP support programme very quickly. Oxford doesn't use STEP, but STEP does have some interesting problems in there. It's certainly a source of tricky maths problems. At the end of the Math Advice video, I was just looking at STEP as this source of other bits of maths related to other parts of your curriculum. So if you go to the STEP website, then you might be able to find out some more stuff about steps. You might be able to get some past questions. They've got this step support program which goes through in quite a lot of detail for people to go through past questions with some discussion of what those questions are. Okay, so something else you could look at. The danger of looking at step questions, of course, they're very long and interesting, and you might find you're carrying step questions around, thinking about them being stuck on step questions all the time, which is what happens to me when I was in sixth form. Right, okay. I've got an entire slide about the maths club, which gives you images of maths club. Look, there's Lauren explaining probability to me. That's me demonstrating symmetry with some sort of dodecahedron model. We're doing that every week. I've mentioned that twice in this talk already in the last 10 minutes, so I think I'll stop mentioning Oxford Online Maths Club. And those are some more resources and ideas of things. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I was sort of rattle-stop tour through bits and pieces of extra maths that you can follow up after the open day to explore your interest in mathematics, either through official Oxford maths course details or by exploring through other supercurricular maths activities. I hope there's enough for you to do to keep yourself busy between now and, well, let's say between now and applying, and then I guess when you're applying to university there's stuff to do then as well. Along the way, I think that whatever sort of maths you're doing, if you're keen on maths and you're doing bits and pieces of maths, and hey, you've come along to a maths open day today and maybe been to a math workshop and done some maths, I think you're keen on maths. If you enjoy doing maths, then whatever maths you're doing will help you, I think, help you in a university application, whatever it is, whether or not it's directly relevant to what that admissions process is actually going to ask you to do. Okay, that's my next steps. I'm not sure how much sense that made, but let's have a quick look at the Q&A again to see what people are talking about. Let's see if I can add anything live to what people have already said there. Goodness me, I'm rambling like nothing else. I was a bit rambly at the start, and after a day of bits of live stream, that's a poll, let's turn that off. After a day of live stream, I've become more and more rambly. Right. Okay. So let's go to recent. So what's recent come in? This is something I said on another admissions talk, maybe not one of mine. Someone said that if you apply to different courses at other universities, then you'd be at disadvantage. That's part 1 of 2, and I can't find part 2 of 2. Maybe this is part 2 of 2. Yes, it is. Looking at maths and physics at UCL. Cool. One of my options, it has better option modules than UCL. Is that a disadvantage? Right, okay, 2 things to say. Firstly, Oxford doesn't know which other courses you've applied to, so can't put you at a disadvantage in that sense. We just don't know where else you've applied. We just get your application. We don't get told where else you've applied. We also, in the nicest possible way, don't really care where else you've applied. We know you've applied to Oxford. If you've applied to Oxford, that's great. We'll get you through our admissions process, get you to do the steps of our admissions process, and you're welcome to apply to up to 4 other places as well, I suppose. The one thing that might be tricky is that you might have to write a personal statement where you talk about maths and talk about physics a bit, or talk about the overlap between those. That's fine with us. We know that you're writing your personal statement for 5 universities, and they might have different opinions about what you put in your personal statement. Also, Oxford, we're lucky, we have things like the maths admissions test and interviews as well as the personal statement. So we're not quite so reliant on reading things from the personal statement when we can just look at what you've done on the maths admissions test. So I think you're fine. I can't see any reason why you'd be at a disadvantage for applying to maths and physics at UCL or even other courses, other universities. That's what they say, isn't it? Other universities are available, other courses are available. Okay. There's a question about the format of assessment, which I hope that somebody has answered in text as well. We're mostly exam based. We have some small components of coursework, but mostly exam based at Oxford. Okay, and do I recommend any massive online, massive MOOC courses? So you might have options to do things like this. So a MOOC is the online course where you learn some material. I think anything you're interested in that you can get free access to sounds like a good idea to me. I'm always in favour of learning extra stuff. In terms of admissions or something, with my admissions coordinator hat on, it doesn't make any difference in terms of admissions, but with my interested in mathematics hat on, I think you can really find some interesting stuff out there. I'm not up to date enough, but I'm not aware of a large number of math related MOOCs. I've personally done some sort of computer science MOOC courses for fun because I study a lot of mathematics. Thought I'd look at some computer science as well. There's a machine learning one that's very popular that I like. Okay, let me just have a quick check. Can I set this up so that I can see? Earlier I managed to set this up so I could see the thing and also see the other thing. I have not managed to do that today. Hang on. So this is slightly annoying. I have the questions on screen. I'm trying to get the answers as well that people have typed. Always the way, isn't it? I have the questions, looking for answers. Can I do this? Window? Yep. And then if I go here, bear with me 20 seconds, please, while I set this up. Oh, come on. No, it doesn't want to play along. Oh, there we go. Okay. Am I in? It was going to happen sooner or later, right? That we get sort of bizarre technical issues. There we go. Resend. Yes. Okay. Good. Some maths and philosophy questions have come in, and I can see, yep, somebody has replied. So there's a bit of a mix. Mainly exams. There are some things like a MATLAB computational project earlier on. Okay. I've now got to a position where I can see questions and I can see answers. Okay. Good. I can see what tutors are typing at the same time. Like a big bit of teamwork, isn't it? Right, okay, you can see questions and answers. Maths and philosophy here. Do you have to score as high on the maths as people just doing maths? Which is a good question. So maths and philosophers, we know they're interested in philosophy, they're good at maths. So in some sense they're being asked to do two different things. I think overall we do sometimes take people from maths and philosophy with perhaps slightly lower math scores if they're very convincing with their interest in philosophy. Overall, though, they do need to be good at maths. They're going to do maths and philosophy students are going to do some of the maths with the math students doing the actual maths course, not some sort of watered down maths course. So they need to be good at mathematics as well. So perhaps I can see an argument that a maths and philosophy applicant with a slightly lower maths score might be strong philosophically. We might take them based on philosophy. This question: how many, based on the percentage of applicants? I hope we've put this number in. How many tend to be shortlisted for an interview? So we currently shortlist to about 3 people per place. I'm sure the number's been put in here. Yeah, so we shortlist down to about 3 per place. The reason being that we want to use our resources to make sure we're interviewing people we've got a chance of making an offer to. So we don't have the resources to interview everyone. We use our resources to make sure we're interviewing people we've shortlisted, if we can, multiple times, so that we get lots of information about them and we decide who to make offers to. I think we probably couldn't interview everyone, even if we wanted to interview everybody once. So we have to shortlist. As a result, we shortlist down to about, for the maths course, about 30%, 33% of our applicants. So in that sense, the steps before then of having a UCAS application and doing well on the maths are important because that's the information we've got when we're making that sort of decision about who to shortlist. Okay. We've got questions on the theme now. So we've got maths and statistics. Having asked a question about maths and philosophy, we've now got a maths and statistics question as well. This one's got 3 thumbs up though, so let's go with this one. Choosing between maths in Cambridge and maths in Oxford. I wonder if anybody else is choosing between maths in Cambridge and maths in Oxford. You find STEP more fun than the maths, but all my teachers are telling me to go to Oxford. Any advice? So I have to declare a bias, right? That I work for the University of Oxford. I'm wearing a University of Oxford jumper in front of a University of Oxford sign on my University of Oxford open day. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you to apply to the University of Oxford. It's great. We have a really good maths degree. Whether or not math or STEP is more fun at the time of doing the test, the Oxford degree is a lot of fun for 3 years afterwards when you're on the degree. Of course, Cambridge will also tell you that Cambridge is a lot of fun and that STEP is a lot of fun. So in some sense, I think the kind of fair middle ground, which I hope Cambridge agree with, the kind of fair middle ground is that both universities are great. And if you're in the position of choosing between Cambridge and Oxford, then you're in a very strong position there to be choosing between the two. Which one are you going to apply to? And in some sense, the maths courses are much more similar than they are different. Cool, I think that was the diplomatic answer in the end as well, right? Okay. Good. Where do I want to go? I'll go here, here. Okay, good. More things coming in, which is nice. Good. So I'm not sure if we've answered, is this maths and statistics course harder to get onto? Nobody's typed an answer yet either, so let's talk. So maths and statistics has the same first year as the maths course. When you're on the course, it's not a harder course. It's not a more difficult course than the maths course. We're looking for the same standard of mathematician as we are for our maths course, because they're going to go and do the same first year of maths. In recent years, we've been publishing these statistics about statistics, I suppose, because it's statistics about how many people have been taken for the maths and statistics course. And I think people have noticed that the numbers don't quite match between maths and statistics. That's more a fact about the applicant pool than it is about our intentions here. So if we have some flexibility. Let's start at the start. We have some flexibility between whether we take maths students or maths and statistics students, because the first year is the same, so it doesn't make much difference in terms of our teaching in first year, whether we take maths students or maths and stats students. So if you show me two students, one of them's maths, one of them's maths and stats, and one of them's slightly better at maths than the other, then I'm going to lean towards taking the one who's slightly better at mathematics. It seems historically in recent years that maybe the applicants for maths have been slightly stronger than the applicants for maths and statistics when it comes down to those decisions. And I think there might be some sort of feedback effect that people are now looking at the statistics and trying to game the system or something. But in reality, we're looking for the same standard of mathematician, no matter whether you've applied for maths or maths and stats. Okay, so if you're interested in maths and stats, I'd encourage you to go for it. It's not harder to get onto for sort of, if you control for who you are, then it shouldn't be harder to get a place on maths and statistics. Right, okay. Do I think that getting an interview is an achievement in itself? Yes, I agree with 3 people who've given that a thumbs up, and I agree with them. Being shortlisted for interview is something that doesn't happen to everyone, so it's an achievement in that sense. To be honest, I think applying and doing the maths and doing well, or just learning from the experience, is an achievement as well. Oxford's in this kind of position now of having lots more applicants than we have places. So in some sense, the most common thing that happens when people apply to Oxford is that unfortunately you don't end up with an offer at Oxford on average, just because there are more than twice as many applicants as places. Mathematically, the kind of modal outcome is that people don't get a place at Oxford. But I think the experience overall of preparing for the maths admissions test, of sitting the maths admissions test and seeing those questions, and then perhaps of doing interview questions as well, I think that overall experience has some value for maths applicants wherever you study maths at university. So I sort of hope that, in particular, if you're looking ahead to the maths admissions test and you're trying practice questions or you're thinking about maths, then that's helpful even if you don't study at Oxford afterwards. So I think applying is an achievement in some sense as well. Right, okay. Does Oxford do something where you might get asked to change to a just maths course if you apply for maths and statistics? So I think this is technically possible, that we might do this, that we could make you an offer for just maths if for some reason, no, I think between maths and statistics, they've got the same first year. So I think if you put maths and statistics if you apply for maths and statistics and we want to make you an offer, it's almost certainly maths and statistics. For maths and computer science or maths and philosophy, I can see it going a little bit more, it's rare but not impossible that, let's say you apply for maths and computer science and the maths tutors think you're great and the computer scientists think it's not impossible that we can make a candidate in that situation an offer for maths. So it makes a little bit more sense for maths and philosophy, maths and computer science, where the disciplines are a little bit more distant. It's quite hard to imagine a maths and stats applicant who's good at maths who we don't just make an offer for maths and stats for. Same first year. Okay, so it's a question about open days, June and July open days. I'm now going through every question. I want to have people feel like that. Okay, so the June-July open days are definitely online. The September open day hasn't yet at time of recording, if you're watching the recording. At time live, if you're watching live now, September open day hasn't yet been confirmed whether that's in person or online. If it's in person, well, now we're hypothetical. If it's in person, can I see the Maths Institute? I don't know. That depends on a lot of factors, right? Depends how much in person things can be in September. If I were you, I'd plan for the possibility that that's an online open day as well. So all three of these, I think there's a possibility that all three of these are online open days, which means there might not be a chance to visit the Maths Institute. Maths Institute is really nice. It is just a building. If you watch the Andrew Wiles building drone footage that's on it's the very short video that's seconds down on the open day page or something, you do get a view of most of the building, and I think quite a good impression of what the building's like. It's lovely, it's beautiful. In terms of the actual maths content, the kind of architecture doesn't make that much difference to actual study. Yeah, okay, so we're going to plan as I think I'd advise you to plan as if that's going to be an online day. If, nice surprise, there's a chance to visit the Maths Institute in person, then hey, come and visit the Maths Institute in person. It'd be great to see you in the Maths Institute if we can do that at some point. Good, okay. I like this question. It's sort of hopeful, isn't it? It's sort of hopeful. Can we see the Maths Institute? Can we come to the Maths Institute? I want to go to the Maths Institute. What's the workload like? Let's go through these as well. So workload-wise, our students work quite hard. We give them a lot of maths to do. We're trying to make sure that they never run out of things to do, that they never run out of questions that they could be thinking about, I suppose. So we have these quite short terms. We run 8-week terms for lectures and tutorials. Those can be quite intense because we've compressed things down to 8 weeks and we're giving people lots of things to do and lots of things to think about. I think we do well at selecting students who rise to that challenge, who want lots of mathematics, who want to be told lots of mathematical things and they want to work on lots of bits of mathematics. Having said that, I think our students do strike a good work-life balance overall. I think they manage to find a good balance between doing some of that maths and doing other stuff as well. So in some sense, I suppose you could say, this is the thing about independent study, right? You could say the workload involves doing quite a bit of maths, but that's sort of, in some sense, a fact about the students as well as the course. It would probably be possible to have not so much workload and get through the maths course, but it's quite rare that our students approach it like that, if that makes sense. It would be possible to just sort of go through, have a go at things, but not really be that interested. But because of our admissions process, we've managed to find students who are really interested. Okay, right. Oh, loads of things coming. Brilliant. Where was I? I was going through one at a time, wasn't I? So maybe I should keep doing that in case so I don't skip anyone's question. Now that I'm here, the plan is I'm just going to sort of keep doing this for about half an hour, about 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier, depending on how the questions go. About 5 o'clock, we might call it a day, depending on how things are going. But while people are still here, I'm going to stay live and chat about questions. Hopefully some tutors. I think we've got Vicky Neal, Richard Earl and Victor Flynn are now answering questions. So if you get a quick answer from one of them, they're in there as well, typing answers. So there's a question about the MMath, which is the 4th year master's year, and number of courses. And I think the best answer I can give is that neither Oxford nor Cambridge should be making strong promises about the contents of their 4th year courses. The 4th year course changes quite a lot year on year. We try and keep it fresh, we try and keep it up to date, and it changes sometimes when people arrive or leave in the department, so the 4th year changes quite a bit. I don't don't think that either Oxford or Cambridge should be talking about how many components there are. In terms of flexibility, it's completely flexible. You can choose which options you want to. No compulsory courses in the fourth year. Or maybe the question's not about fourth year in particular. So if M Math is the qualification you get at the end of the fourth year. Yeah, I'm going to re-answer this question as if it's about the entire degree. So I'm looking at the degrees at Oxford and Cambridge, says this question. How much flexibility is there? Lots of flexibility at both Oxford and Cambridge. Oxford, in particular, has some core courses in first year and the first half of second year. But then after that, optional courses. You can choose what you're doing. So you have a lot of flexibility. The third year is just entirely consists of optional courses, and you pick from the list. There are some rules about how many units each one is worth. You add up to a certain number of units, so there's a maths puzzle there, but otherwise, yeah, everything's optional. So yes, good. What kind of mathematical thinker is Oxford looking for? I'm really curious if the tutors have typed an answer for this one or not. I think nobody's taken this one yet. Oh, somebody might be typing an answer. I'm going to talk while they're answering it. Sorry, tutors, if I'm saying things that you're going to type. We like inquisitive people. We like people who are curious, who are interested in mathematics and interested in why things are true and how they can generalize things and how they can adapt and expand ideas when they're shown something, which I suppose is related to that kind of curiosity and interest, right? That if I show you a bit of mathematics, like if you were here for a math workshop and you see this strange thing about finding solutions to an equation, is that interesting at all? Do you want to do anything with that? Do you want to adapt it? Do you want to try and find out what's going on and check you understand it and build new things? That helps when we want to we want to show people lots of different bits of maths. So it helps if they're inquisitive and curious and willing to work on different things. Okay. I wonder if the tutors are going to give the same sort of answer or not. We'll find out, I suppose. Do you apply for the 3 or 4 year course specifically, or do you just apply and then choose later in the course? You just apply, and you can choose later on in the course whether you're going to stay for the 3 or 4 years. I think this could be wrong, but I'll say it anyway. I think that UCAS used to give you the choice when you applied, but I think UCAS no longer gives you the choice when you apply. You just tick a box to choose between. You just tick a box for maths, and it says 3 or 4 or something. You might like to talk if you're in England and you're doing student finance England, then it might be possible to tell Student Finance England that you're doing a 4-year course and request funding for a 4-year course. On the idea being that it's sort of easier to get approved for 4 years of funding and then decide you don't need the 4th year, rather than talking to Student Finance at the end of your 3rd year about the 4th year funding. So in that sense, it might be more convenient to, on paper, be on the 4-year course, but we don't actually make anyone decide until the 3rd year to decide whether they're doing the 3-year course or the 4-year course. I've just seen, not a question, but hi to Vicky. That's nice. Okay. Do we have offer holder days? I think we don't have an offer holder day for mathematics. Some of the colleges might do their own things in colleges between different subjects. We don't have one of those for mathematics, I think. I wonder if this question is inspired by the in-person stuff about the Maths Institute, chance to see the Maths Institute perhaps. You know what, I could imagine a world where, maybe I shouldn't make up events, I could imagine a world where that feels like something we should think about, right? That if everything's over and suddenly we're allowed to have everyone together, perhaps that makes sense. On the other hand, perhaps not. So at the moment we don't normally do an offer holder day for maths. Thinking out loud, I can see why that would be fun. Okay. Raphael would like to prepare for a joint honours philosophy interview. So philosophy interview is going to ask questions and try and have a discussion with you. So if you're not used to that, then it might feel slightly competitive or something. That you might be asked a question, give an answer, and then be sort of asked a follow-up question. or asked a kind of different question to explore something. The sample philosophy interview question I've seen is, what does it mean for someone to blame? What does it mean to blame? The idea is the interview person, the person being interviewed needs to come up with a definition of what it means to blame, and then the interviewer will try and work with their definition and explore differences of whether or not that definition works in a kind of general sense of what it means to blame something. Like, can you only blame people? Can you only blame people who have definitely done the thing and meant to do the thing? Can you blame people who didn't do the thing? Just sort of in that kind of mathematical sense of discussing the content and trying to work out a sort of working definition of a term. I think you prepare by thinking about bits of philosophy that you've come across, and I guess reading around and finding out what people have thought before about topics can help you understand that kind of challenging discussion way of talking and trying to work together in a conversation to come to some sort of logical conclusion. Talk to people. It's probably the best thing I can say there. And it's sort of mathematical in some sense. That's why maths and philosophy is a good idea for a course. That this kind of reasoning and debate is a sort of healthy way of progressing mathematics as well. Okay. I'm going to scroll a little bit because I'm getting a little bit behind. What's the difference? There is no difference. You choose in the third year whether you're going to stay for the fourth year. If you pick, I like this. Brilliant, look at this. What proportion of a maths degree is mechanics? Which people usually ask me, fearing mechanics. And then they say, if you pick as many mechanics modules as possible. Okay, good news and bad news. Good news, we do some mechanics. We've got some mechanics in first year. We call it dynamics, but we teach everyone kind of mechanics stuff. Sort of bad news is that you already know a lot of mechanics. Essentially, there's not that much more mechanics to tell you in a classical sense, the sort of mechanics that you're thinking of. After that, we've got to teach you more modern advancements, or things like what do I want to say? So later on, there are lots more modules on what I'm going to call applied mathematics. So you can do, I think, almost all of your courses in third year could be on applied mathematics. Whether or not you would understand those to be mechanics is a little bit of a personal taste. So some of the course titles might imply something a bit mechanical, but some of them might feel a little bit more like theoretical physics. So up to you whether that counts as mechanics or not. We've got third year courses on things like electromagnetism, which uses a lot of mathematical theory to get to work, but whether you would count that as mechanics or not. A-level has these quite narrow channels for A-level mathematics has these quite narrow channels for where mathematical disciplines fit, and at university things slightly blur a little bit more. Do you think it's harder to get into Oxford maths and computer science than just maths? Because, and then all my teachers keep telling me not to apply for maths and computer science because it's very competitive. The course is quite competitive in terms of number of applicants and number of places. It also has this, I suppose, challenge that for maths and computer science you need to be interested in computer science, which I'm phrasing as a challenge because it's not something that I personally applied for. So for me to do it, it would be an extra bit of challenge. It's not supposed to be dramatically difficult to get into. The maths and computer science course is looking for people who are good at mathematics, but you shouldn't have to be a superhuman person to get onto the maths and computer science course. I think because it has a small number of places and a large number of applicants, there's a lot of competition there. I think it might be one of the most oversubscribed Oxford courses in that sense. Moving through STEP, does it? If I wanted to reapply after year 13, you could do that. Would a score on STEP Turn 3 help? No, we don't use STEP. We don't ask for any scores, and you can tell us about STEP that you've done and what you got out of doing STEP, but we're still going to ask you to do the maths submissions test, I'm afraid, rather than using your STEP scores. Does it matter if you don't get to this is a great question. We answered this one in typing. So I can answer questions slightly faster by talking than people can by typing, but I'm a little bit behind. So you might be getting multiple answers from different directions, but hey, it's all part of the fun, isn't it? Does it matter if you don't get to the right answer in the interview and or if you keep getting stuck? No, that's the normal interview experience, at least you keep getting stuck. Getting stuck is a normal part of being a mathematician. You might not experience it very much at the moment because you might be finding all the maths that you're doing really easy, but getting stuck on maths is a normal part of the maths experience. That's why in interviews we're going to ask tricky questions that you can't do straight away. We want to see what happens when you get stuck on maths problems. Can you make a plan to get a bit unstuck and to make a little bit of progress? Can we help you a little bit and give you some hints and get you through? It would be nice if we got to the right answer in the end. Probably if the interviewers have been helping and getting through, then we should get to the right answer. I've sometimes just stopped people before we get to the final answer because I don't really care about the final answer. I'm more interested in this method of getting unstuck and having a plan and having the right ideas. And then actually the kind of brute mechanics of doing the calculation or something might not be very interesting. So if you don't get to a final answer, then it might just be because I don't respect the answer to my own question. Right, okay. If we get rejected, do you recommend taking a gap year and reapplying? No. I would recommend taking an offer at a different university. Taking a gap year and a year out and reapplying so that you can start university a year later is a big life decision. And there's no promise that you'd get an offer the second time round. So you might end up in the same position in a year's time, a year older after a year out. You might still not get an offer from Oxford if that's the idea. And other universities exist. Other universities are pretty great too. So if you've got offers from other universities, then I could recommend taking that offer. Okay, right. This would lead to, if I recommend this, by the way, then there's a kind of problem that everyone reapplies and there's twice as many, and then everyone reapplies and now there's 3 times as many applicants and things get out of hand quickly like that. Okay. When choosing a college, is it a good idea to look at the tutor's specialist subjects? And pick a college with a tutor who's done research into a topic you enjoy. Let's see what the tutors... So tutors are also typing answers to the questions. Let's see what they said. Did they pick up an answer to this one? I want to see what they said. I want to find a tutor saying, yeah, please apply. No, they've said no harm in taking it into account, but keep in mind that you have to be interested in lots of bits of mathematics. And Victor's made some good points below. Okay, so 2 things might change along the way. You might change. You might discover that you're interested in other sorts of mathematics, which is allowed along the way of being interested in mathematics. By the time you start the course, studying a range of things, you might discover you like other bits of mathematics. Also, the tutors might change. People sometimes leave universities and go and work at other universities, and other people come in. So there's a problem here that the tutors might change and you might change. Also, you're going to be studying a range of things in first year, and all of the colleges, whether or not their tutors are researchers in related topics or not, they're all teaching that mathematics, I think, to an equal standard. It's also a little bit question about research into a topic you enjoy might not be related to the research level. Mathematics might not be quite related to what they're doing in tutorials in first and second years, because their research might not be related to first and second year mathematics. It might be on more advanced mathematics. Okay, are there any colleges which are better for applied maths? No. They've all got tutors. They've all got tutors who can teach applied mathematics, and they're all teaching the same applied mathematics because everyone's coming to the same lectures. Lectures are organised by the department, and everyone comes to the same lectures, gets the same applied maths. Everyone studies the same lecture notes, prepares for the same problem sheets, more or less, and then has the tutorials with tutors in each college who can do applied mathematics. Doesn't make difference. So more than similar, I think the applied maths experience is same same with those. A lot of anonymous questions at the moment, which is fine. I just wondered why. when everyone's got names and then suddenly people don't have names, and it's sort of like, oh, surrounded by faceless people, fine. But when did that happen? Proof heavy. Yeah, we do a lot of proofs. We are interested in why things are true. What proportion of the degree would you say is calculations? Oh, that's difficult. I'm going to say 50-50, which is a sort of diplomatic midway guess, but not based on very much information. No, I don't know. You need to be good at proving things and calculating things. That's one of the big questions in mathematics. Is it better to have good intuition or better at calculating things? And actually, you need both. Someone's saying hi to Vicky. Hi, Vicky. Is STEP harder than the maths? Yes. STEP is taken later in the year than MAT. So MAT's taken near the start of year 13, STEP's taken at the end of year 13. It's taken by people who have finished maths and further maths A-levels, so it uses a lot more content, and it's taken by people who are older and have more mathematical maturity, more experience of solving things. It's also a test for offer holders rather than a test for all of the applicants, so it needs to distinguish between offer holders rather than everyone who's applied. So yeah, the questions are harder. It's got the same purpose though, right? So MAT is not easy in the sense that there are loads of applicants and we're using the MATs as part of the way we decide who to shortlist, which means that that's tricky. Average score on the MAT is about 50, a good score is about 70, 75. It makes it much harder than most maths tests you'll do in other places. Right. Is it better than something to mention subjects in my personal statement that I'm likely to expand on while studying at Oxford University? And if I want to pursue a mathematically related job, can I mention that in my personal statement? Fine, yeah, you can mention a mathematically related job that you want to do if you want to. Yeah, if that's a motivating factor for you, then sure. That's you demonstrating motivation, I think. So I want to do X. I'm really excited to learn lots of maths so I can do X. Sounds good to me. You don't have to mention subjects that are going somewhere in Oxford University. I'm trying to encourage people to have an awareness of what maths is in university and explore that a little bit. But if you're really interested in some maths that doesn't come up at all in university, that's also fine. One example off the top of my head is kind of magic squares. I think they're not in any of our maths courses at university. It's possible to be interested in magic squares. Those are the ones where the numbers add up to the same thing, no matter how you add them. I don't think they're in any of the Oxford courses, kind of recreational maths instead. But it's okay to be interested. I mean, tell us about how you're interested. You're interested in solving problems and working things out. Whether or not there's an Oxford course on it, yeah, go for it. We're interested in you, right? You don't have to tell us about us. We know what's in our course. Tell us about what you're interested in. Cool, right. Do you get a calculator? No. Sorry. For most of them. There might be some exceptions where you get a calculator. We ask you to prove things. We ask you to remember proofs of things and to find new proofs of things and to do some calculations where the calculations are complicated and abstract mathematics that a calculator wouldn't help you for. I'm getting a little bit behind, aren't I? I'm a little bit behind in time. Bit of a time lag. Yeah, I'm a good chunk of questions down from the top. Shall I speed up a little bit? 4-year course or 3-year course plus the M-Math Phys? Oh, that's fine. Doesn't matter. This does make sense. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. You can apply for the maths course. I think, I need to check this. I should know this. I think UCAS doesn't give you an option anymore. I think you just apply for maths. And it doesn't even give you the choice of 3 or 4 years. It doesn't matter. Certainly not going to look at it. Certainly not going to hold anyone to what they ticked on a UCAS form. You know, 3 years later, you're 21. We're not going to look back at which box you ticked one time and hold that to whether you can do the maths Phys or not. No, yeah, cool, right. This is the master's course in maths and theoretical physics, by the way, if anybody's wondering. It's great. You do it after 3 years of maths or 3 years of physics, you can do theoretical physics. Certificates of completion for the NG course. Oh yeah, sorry, I know what this is. This is the this is the machine learning course that I mentioned before. Raphael knows which one I'm talking about. Do you think that's beneficial? So I'm hesitant because I think you should do something with it or do something surrounding it as well. So the course mostly involves being told things and then doing little bits of work I think in MATLAB for the course I'm thinking of. Whereas I think a really good way to demonstrate a kind of interest in university study would be then to take that and say, well, I've learnt this thing, and to show you that I've learnt it and understood it, I'm going to do a little thing. I don't know what that is, but showing us that you understand the thing. More than, there's this question about certificates, so more than certificates of completion, sort of interested in skills you've got that are transferable to university study. Okay, I'm going to speed up because I'm about 10 minutes to 5. I want to go. Oh, and somebody asked me a question. I think that's for me. Maybe not. Oh, hello. Just clicked a button. Do you have to apply for that separately? No. So this math and theoretical physics. A couple of questions came in 10 minutes ago about the same theme. You pick it up for fourth year after maths degree. You apply from third year of maths. Okay. Do you prefer statistics or mechanics? I prefer mechanics myself, but I'm starting to realise that the statistics is relevant in more things than I might have thought. So I'm coming around to more statistics-y sort of things. In what ways is maths abstract? Well, we study things. As a tutor typed a very clever answer. If a tutor's typed a very clever answer, then I might not do this one live. We got a great answer from Vicky. Oh, I'm going to read out Vicky's answer on the live stream in case anybody's. Am I going to do that? I'm going to summarise Vicky's great answer from chat. So maths is abstract in the sense that we study properties of objects with assuming as little as we can about the objects. So you might try and find out and prove things that are true without assuming very much about what the things are. The less we can get away with, the better. And that's powerful because then that lets us apply the things that we've proved, the things we know, to lots of different, seemingly very different situations, because we can just check that the simple things we assumed are true in all of those cases. And if we can find things that different problems have in common, some sort of simple common core to different problems, and we study that instead, it's powerful in lots of different places. So for example, in school you might learn about differential equations rather than learning about the theory of how things fall under gravity, and then separately learning about the theory of how cars accelerate, and then separately learning about the theory of, go to car studies, and then you separately learn about the theory of how braking works in a separate car study course, Cars 201. You learn all of those things together, right? You learn differential equations. And that's the power of studying differential equations on their own, is this kind of abstract thing that helps you in all of those situations. Maths takes that to kind of a couple of steps more abstract than that, of course. Are there any computer programming modules? Yes, we do something called MATLAB. Is a programming language. We don't expect people to have seen any of it before. On the course, we teach mathematics students how to do things with computers, and then there's a little bit of a module where we get them to do things with computers. Okay. Do you often see students falling out of love with maths when they get to uni because it starts becoming difficult? I think that's tricky. Our students are great. They do like what they're studying. It is sometimes difficult seeing people's personal statements where, if in your personal statement you say maths is great because all statements are either true or false. I've seen that in somebody's personal statement, saying maths is fantastic, I love it because all statements are either true or false. And I think they're going to be disappointed later on when they do a course on something like logic and set theory and discover that some questions, even in mathematics, some questions are undecidable and we don't know if they're true or false, and we don't have a kind of sharp yes-no answer to some questions in mathematics. So in some sense, loving mathematics is tricky because you need to love the thing that's changing as you learn it, becoming a sort of slightly more complicated beast along the way. That's a tricky path to walk. Cool, right. Was that too poetic? Not poetic enough? I never know. Right, okay. I'm interested in physics, says somebody. Ooh. Studying applied maths be worth mentioning. Can you mention it? Yeah, go for it. Sounds nice. People talk about all sorts of things. Liking physics is acceptable, encouraged perhaps. I like physics. I had this idea I was going to do a maths degree so that I could go and work in physics at some point in a theoretical sense, and I never quite got around to doing that. But being interested in related subjects is very easy to talk about in a personal statement. What types of careers? Biggest sectors. The biggest sectors, most common sectors are, perhaps unsurprisingly, finance and IT computing, but that takes up a chunk of the pie chart. I think because they want people who are numerate, good at solving problems, who are clever and good at working with data, and they pay lots of money. So they take a lot of our graduates, perhaps 30% between those two sectors. And then a big chunk, everything else. The pie chart splits down really quickly into loads of exciting things, sort of consultancy work, education, charities, sport, resale, tourism. I'm just naming sectors now. Lots of careers are keen to have mathematicians solving problems for them, working on complicated problems. Whether you're employed as a mathematician in that field or not, or whether you're just using the sort of problem-solving skills that you've been working on for 3 years in a maths degree, I think lots of employers are keen for that sort of problem-solving skill. You're showing that you have the ability to learn complicated things, ability to work with complicated systems, and find insight in them. And that's what people, if I know anything about the way the world's going, that's what things seem to be involving more and more of. If you get an offer from Oxford, can I defer? You should talk to the college that's made you an offer. You can apply, in the first place, you can apply for deferred entry. After that, it's a little bit more tricky. You should talk to the college that's made you the offer. Why did I want to do a maths degree? Well, I kind of said a minute ago, I want to do physics. Never got around to it, did applied mathematics, loved it, really great. Did I have any idea of my career? No. I wanted to, when I was in school, CERN was just starting, and I wanted to go and follow a physicist around CERN at the end. I think I'd heard that physicists need mathematicians doing calculations or something, so I thought, oh, brilliant, I'll just hang out in CERN and do maths, that'll be what I do. And then that never quite happened, but that was my motivation, I suppose, trying to understand physics like that. Lots of careers, maths and statistics, see above, same sort of careers. Most employers don't care whether you've done a maths degree or a maths and statistics degree or a French degree. Lots of graduate employers don't mind what your degree was in. How can I do better at math? I tried one, did awfully. Yes, okay, that's fine. It is currently, at time of recording, time of being live now, it's currently April. You've got ages. The math's so far away. You'll get better at maths over the summer if you keep doing bits and pieces of maths. I know normally over the summer people forget maths because they're not really doing any work, and you come back and you do some stuff afterwards. If you can find a way to just have a little bit of maths during the summer, to keep doing little bits of maths, then you can keep your skills sharp until we get to the maths. And that experience of practicing doing maths problems, whether they're math problems or not, sounds like maybe if maths too difficult right now, find other problems that you can do, things that you can't do straight away but that you can eventually do. Check the Enrich website, or Tamura problems, or STEP problems, or STEP support program, or other things to find other problems that you can do but get stuck on. Okay, really quickly, because I'm getting up to 5 o'clock and that's when this live stream stops. Doesn't matter which modules you're doing for further maths. Statistics at A-level, a flavour of that is in the machine learning course. If you the machine learning video on the Open Days website. So Ross, if you go to the Open Days website, scroll down to machine learning, that talks from the statistics department. I think the title was almost going to be statistics and machine learning, but we cut it down to machine learning because I guess that's sort of clickbait, isn't it? A lot of proofs involved in applied maths. There are some, but also a lot of calculation in there as well. A lot of doing things, finding out the answers to stuff. If your school doesn't teach discrete maths, no, you're fine. This is absolutely fine. You don't need to do discrete maths before computer science. You're all right. Careers available involving pure maths. You might be interested in things like cryptography, and I'm going to mention cryptography and then sort of leave that vague. If you want careers actually involving pure mathematics, you might be able to do things involving some specific sorts of research program. Let's keep that really vague. Right, okay. Personal statements, I've got a video on personal statements. Which is more important, maths or personal statements? Definitely maths. This one is talking about maths. This one is doing maths. I'm always more interested in doing maths. Let's still talk about personal statement. We got some cryptography. We got a little bit. We got a little bit in the number theory course. Yeah, and you can talk about it in the personal statement anyway. Yeah, okay. Oh, you wrote a history. Yeah, okay. That sounds like personal statement folder. Brilliant. Tell us about that. Sounds nice. And also do the maths, please. It has a low acceptance rate because it has lots of applicants for the number of places, and because in recent years we've had the choice between maths students and maths and stats students, and it just so happens that sometimes we've chosen the maths student rather than the maths and stats student because we can, given those two applicants in front of us, and that affects the numbers quite a lot. It's not hard to get onto maths and stats. I think I'm going to end on that note. There's a sort of advert for maths and stats. It's not harder to get onto maths and stats if you control for who the person is. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for watching the live stream, joining in with the open day stuff today. It's been quite fun. I haven't done this many live events all in one day over the internet. It's been a bit of a strange experience. I hope it's been useful for you. We're gonna hang out. I'm gonna hang out a little bit in the Q&A and chat thing, just to talk to anyone. I can see your questions just come in just after 5 p.m. and I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna answer it, but not live on the stream. Thank you very much. I will see some of you for Oxford Online Maths Club or Math live streams at some point. Stay in touch on the email address in the description if you want to. Otherwise, have a nice evening and have a nice day. Yeah. Have a nice application? That's not a thing that people say. I can't just say have a nice application. It's just not how people talk. Right, bye.